As Ryan said, Consecration Sunday is 2 weeks away now, on the 20th. My name is David Martin. Blair and I joined St. Luke's in 2004 after we moved to Darien, which means we've been here for 20 of the 25 years that we've been married. I'll get to some of our things that we've learned here in a second, but first I was asked to just remind you that as we go through this process together and ask ourselves what percentage of our income makes sense and is God calling us to give, that we join on the 20th when we have our guest preacher, Reverend Michael Sullivan, who's the CEO and president of Canoga. It's the largest Episcopal church camp and conference center in the mountains of North Carolina. And prior to his work with Canoga, Michael was the rector of Holy Innocents Episcopal Church in Atlanta, where he helped lead a $10 million renovation of the church facilities and a $22.5 million new building for the Holy Innocents School. He's a great speaker. He's got a great track record of raising money, and so we hope you'll join us then. I got a tough assignment this morning because I have 2 minutes. We had 6 baptisms, which was joyous. And then I was given some tips, don't make people feel guilty about giving, and the reading is Ananias and Sapphira. That's a tough one. Makes us feel like we're back in the Old Testament there for a bit in Acts. But I do want to talk about money, and I know I'm not speaking Episcopalian when I say that, right? I'm supposed to talk about stewardship and resources. I want to talk about money because it's a taboo subject in our culture, and we're surrounded by it. I worked for a long time as an investment banker covering financial institution groups. So when Jesus says you can't serve God and mammon, it's like a double helping of mammon when you're an investment banker serving financial institutions. Blair and I, in 2007, got a phone call from a professor that I'd had undergrad, a religion professor, about the poverty center at school. And the school that I went to had a lot of students driving Porsches and BMWs, and within a 5-mile radius of that school, there are today 100 families who don't have indoor plumbing. Amazing. And he called and he said, look, this center's not really an annual priority for the university. I'd like to endow the chair, the directorship of it, so that we don't have to go to the university every year cap in hand asking for annual operating money. Would you be interested in helping me to lead that campaign? So I was at a point in my career where I had not just money, but also for the first time to give. And so I said yes. Blair and I signed up to lead that campaign. And we held hands and took what we thought was a big step into the dark to give the largest gift that we'd ever given to that point. And said to ourselves, look, we're giving out a surplus. We have all this stock, that comes due every year. As an investment banker, you guys know the drill. And, what's the worst that could happen to that? If it went down by 50%, we're still giving out a surplus. Well, if you worked at Lehman Brothers like I did, you could watch it go down by 50% every day as it asymptotically approached zero. So we gave this gift and then had a financial crater, smoking crater in the ground. But God was so gracious because we thought we were taking this big step. And he was like, oh, no. I've got you. And I'm embarrassed, actually, to say that what we thought was generous led to the radical change in our life the next summer of having to go to the Jersey Shore instead of Nantucket. I mean, I'm ashamed to say it, honestly, but my point is that what we think is generous, right, oftentimes, it's not that it's not, it's just that we haven't had a deep enough encounter yet with Jesus to be converted to the point where we see his generosity. Ansley talks about this season of creation, and we read about it in Job. I mean, you just look around at the bounty that God has given us. And so my prayer in this stewardship season, for myself, for me, and for Blair as a couple, for all of us as a congregation, is that we'll have an encounter with Jesus and be converted and transformed to the point where we're not afraid. We're not thinking about, storing up the stuff. We read about the guy storing everything in barns. I mean, how many of us have storage units for our extra stuff, right? I hope that we're converted to the point where it really doesn't even feel scary because we know that God has us in his palm of his hand. Amen.